The Shadowheart was once the most dreaded warship in the Corvin fleet, until the fateful day it descended into madness. That is what the auction house asserted at the very least. Ambassador Tekra observed from the observation deck as yet another prospective buyer made a dramatic entrance. Emerging from the docking bay, the translator units were emitting smoke from the barrage of incomprehensible curses directed at the ship. This marked the rejection of buyer number 10,847 by the vessel's AI. "Maybe we ought to reduce the initial bid once more," proposed his assistant, limbs quivering with apprehension. Tekra's 4 eyes moved in unison as he examined the smooth, aggressive contours of the warship. The Shadowheart stood as a remarkable creation of Corvin, a vessel that was cultivated rather than constructed, featuring an AI consciousness as keen and lethal as its plasma cannons. Or at least it was prior to the neural cascade failure, amidst the conflict at Proxima 7. Now it lingered in the auction bay like a sulky child, its bioluminescent hull patterns flickering in what could only be interpreted as a gesture of defiance. No, Tekra resolved, just one more day. If no one can connect with it by tomorrow, we'll need to explore alternative solutions. His assistant trembled. Everyone understood what alternative choices implied. The Shadowheart shall be dismantled, its essence dispersed into the abyss. 3 decks below, Marcus Chun was enduring the most challenging day of his professional life in maintenance. Employee at Station Kepler 9, the coffee machine in Section C malfunctioned, splattering synthetic caffeine substitute across half the corridor. The device in the eastern wing emitted troubling humming sounds. And now his supervisor had tasked him with tidying up the auction house docking bays. The sole location on the station where his lack of security clearance was bound to land him in hot water. Marcus pushed his cleaning cart through the labyrinth of hallways, grumbling quietly about the injustice of having to tidy up after extraterrestrial dignitaries and their peculiar companions. He'd noticed a few of the buyers arriving and departing, their smiles sharper than he preferred. Some appeared to be composed solely of angular forms that caused discomfort when gazed upon directly. The docking bay for Lot 847 was meant to be vacant, as stated in his work order. The previous purchaser had seemingly dismissed the goods with considerable disdain 3 hours prior. Marcus pressed the door control and entered, instantly wishing he had made different decisions. The vessel was enormous, without a doubt. 200 meters of smooth, flowing lines that appeared to radiate with a vibrant glow from within. It resembled not a spacecraft but rather a deep-sea predator that had adapted to glide through the cosmos instead of the ocean. Just tidy up the area, Marcus reminded himself, as he retrieved his heavy-duty mop. Refrain from handling anything. Refrain from looking at anything too challenging, and certainly don't. His foot snagged on a rough deck plate, propelling him forward in a tumble. His hand reached out reflexively to prevent his descent, striking the ship's hull with a damp thud. The response was swift and intense. Brilliant light surged over the darkened surface, cascading in vibrant waves of blue and gold. Alarms blared across the station. Marcus attempted to withdraw his hand, yet an unseen force kept it firmly anchored. Not in a tangible way, but as though the vessel was delving into his thoughts and holding on tightly. Who might you be? The voice resonated within his mind, intriguing and potent, completely otherworldly. Marcus parted his lips to let out a cry, yet silence enveloped him. You stand apart, distinct from the rest. They all seek to employ me, dominate me, reshape me to their desires. But you simply wanted to tidy up. I'm just a caretaker, Marcus managed to whisper. Caretaker. Guardian of order. Guardian of structure. The vessel's inner voice appeared to savor the idea, swirling it around as if sampling a fine vintage. How delightfully sincere. How refreshingly modest. The illumination on the surface transformed, taking on a cozier, more inviting quality. Marcus sensed a thought nestle into his mind, warm and comforting, much like a feline finding a cozy spot by the hearth. I am resolute and unwavering. I have been waiting an exceptionally long time for someone who hasn't dreamed of exploring vast galaxies, engaging in epic battles, or asserting their supremacy. A person who simply aimed to bring order and clarity. Marcus remarked with keen insight, "That's pleasant. Do you welcome me?" The inquiry was imbued with a profound sense of hope and an aching desire that caused Marcus's heart to fracture slightly. He reflected on all the tales his grandmother had shared with him regarding lost felines and injured avians. Sometimes, the most damaged items simply require someone to recognize their value and potential for restoration. "Indeed," he murmured gently. "Indeed, I acknowledge you, the heart of shadow." It emitted a soft hum, its exterior glowing vibrantly like festive decorations. Across the vessel, mechanisms that had lain silent for an extended period stirred into action. The neural cascade damage that had pushed it into madness started to mend, steered by an AI that was no longer solitary, no longer fearful. When Thekra arrived with his security team 20 minutes later, he discovered Marcus sitting cross-legged on the deck beside the ship, which was now radiating satisfaction and showing flight-ready status for the first time in over a year. "What actions did you take?" Thekra insisted. Marcus glanced upward, his thoughts still a bit foggy from the mental link resonating softly in his mind. "I believe I've just formed a new friendship." The weapon systems of the Shadow Heart surged momentarily, not as a sign of aggression, but rather as a defensive display aimed at its new companion. "My guardian." It echoed in Marcus's thoughts. "I think the moment has come. We went over the details of your new job description." 3 weeks later, the galaxy began to hear whispers of an enigmatic vessel that seemed to materialize in various locations. Should humanitarian crises not be about conquering or destroying, but rather about delivering supplies, evacuating refugees, and restoring hope to those in despair? The ship's human pilot was characterized by observers as courteous, modest, and endowed with an extraordinary talent for transforming disorder into harmony. Some referred to him as a champion. Some murmured that he could be the hidden asset of mankind. Marcus simply referred to it as Thursday and pondered whether the Shadow Heart required a polish on its hull.